welcome everybody. It's so neat to see so many of our friends here, and I guess I was getting a little nervous, wondering, what it would be like. But when I see all your faces, I feel more relaxed. So it's good to see you here tonight. We just wanted to say a special thank you so much for joining us. It means a lot that you would celebrate the publication of our first book together, because I know a lot of you have been a part of our journey too. We are sending letters out to family and friends throughout our trip, and you've all been a part of that, and or some of you have been a part of that and following us along. And now all those letters that we wrote to family and friends and the poems that we sent out are now in a little book, which was pretty cool that it happened. Like, here we are a year later after coming back. And it was pretty neat that I just ran into the publisher at the Odd Book store in Wolfville, and I knew I had to pitch my idea. And he said, "Oh yeah, we can print it before they are closing their shop at the end of this year," but they managed to fit it in. So one thing I just wanted to start with is the poem the poem prayer, St. Patrick's Prayer. So it's, "I arise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through belief in the threeness, through confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. I arise today through the strength of heaven, the light of the sun, the splendor of fire, the speed of lightning, the swiftness of wind, the depth of the sea, the stability of the earth, the firmness of rock." So this is just part of the prayer. It talks a lot about nature, and that's something that we definitely encountered a lot of. So I'm going to invite you to start out tonight, because poetry, you have to use your imagination. So I'm going to invite you all to start by using your own imaginations to kind of enter into the experience that we had. And I'm going to guide you through two different places, one that you know and one that you don't know. So the first one, imagine being on the beach at the Guzzle. I know some of you have probably been here. And I was here last week, and it was a very drizzly, rainy day. Not the kind of day you would normally go to the beach, but I needed some quiet time, so I went to the beach. And it was just in between some rain, and the wind was moving really fast. And I had just found this window of time, and I was watching some of the lower clouds blow across the sky as there was a dark mass of larger clouds above me. And I just kind of struck by the sound of the Guzzle. The reason it's called the Guzzle is because you can just hear the tide was going out, and it was just getting sucked out, sounding like a guzzling sound. And it just kind of just amazed me, how far the tide goes out and how far I can see. It's almost like the tide was all the way out to Blomidon. It just looks so expansive there. And just the contrast of seeing Blomidon from that perspective was just beautiful. So we have this here in our own backyard. And the other image I want to paint for you is I know this morning Daniel was talking a lot about the Grand Canyon, which is one place that we visited. But even more striking to me was Canyonlands, which is an underrated national park in the U.S. in Utah. And we spent the day doing a couple of hikes, but then at sunset we were wondering, or the magic hour, a couple hours before sunset, we were wondering if we would have time for one more hike, and I knew we had to do it. It was all the way at the end of the road, and it was the most spectacular lighting when we got there. Everything looks more bright and red. The color is more saturated of the red sandstone rocks everywhere. And we started our hike, and it was all along the edge of the canyon. And this canyon's not like the Grand Canyon. It's more open. It feels more like a desert, and it feels more flat. Like the Grand Canyon doesn't feel that way. And then you can just see this huge gaping hole, and it kind of looks like a hand just kind of imprinted there. All these fingers kind of sticking out. And we walked all the way to the end of the rim where it kind of meets a point, and you can see a canyon on both sides. And we just sat there for a while, and it's one thing, we didn't write a poem about it, but we both wanted to, but just the striking silence of the wind and just the depth of the canyon and the expansiveness of the sky was just so beautiful. So I just wanted to share those two places with you, to hold them in your heart as we sing this first song. Junia and I have been singing it in the car a lot ever since it came out. I guess it was probably this summer, a few months ago. It's called Far Country, and it's by Ellie Holcomb. And I feel like she's captured a lot of our feelings about the trip, because we especially love the desert. And she has a song on the Grand Canyon too. And I can let you know about that later if you're interested. But this song is called Far Country. Some people need to go find the far country. Some people need to drink from the well. Some people need to touch their scarred bodies. Oh, some people need to get lost to find out how spacious is the love of God. No place I've been where He is not. From heaven's heights to hell below, I found no place where He won't go. To bring back the lost kids, to bring us home. He wants the lost kids to bring us home. Where are the lost kids? Where did they go? He wants the lost kids to bring us home. Well, the nights they get dark out there in the far country. When you're searching for something to give you some peace. Well, the pieces I found out there now, they just haunt me. I guess some people have to go dark just to see. Oh, how spacious is the love of God. No place I've been where He is not. From heaven's heights to hell below, I found no place where He won't go. To bring back the lost kids, to bring us home. He wants the lost kids to bring us home. Where are the lost kids? Where did they go? He wants the lost kids to bring us home. To bring us home. To bring us home. you like snow or sand?
Sand.
Sand is better. So we wanted to share a few poems. I have a favorite podcast that I like to listen to. It's called Poetry for All. And one of the ways that they read poems is I think you need to read a poem at least twice, and you have to have a little bit of space to contemplate it. So we're going to read, Zach and I are going to read our poems twice. Lewin's going to read his poem too. But we're going to talk about the place that inspired it a little bit in between and then read it again. So Lewin wrote his poem on the Grand Canyon. I know you're wondering if there would be some talk of the Grand Canyon here. So here is Lewin's impression. Get right up to the mic. Okay.
The Grand Canyon Park. Island carved out by the river, a dizzying sight. By me.
Very nice. If you want to sit down, you can sit. Okay. So all of our poems that we wrote are haikus, if you haven't, or maybe we didn't say that, but they're all haikus, so they're very short. But it takes a long time to write them and to narrow things down to 13 syllables? More than that. 5, 7, 5. 17. So, Zach needs to talk into the mic too. So the first poem from Zach's is called "The Beehive Geyser Erupts," and I will read it first. So distant crowds gather, distracted by Old Faithful, from greater glory. So Zach, I wanted to ask you, what inspired this?
Well, I didn't make any notes. I thought I would just spontaneously just think of something. That was one of the slides. That was the one with the geyser erupting with my face kind of going in and out of it. So we went to go see Old Faithful, and we thought we would get a better view of it. So we went to, the guide told us to go stand in a certain place where there weren't any crowds there. Like everyone just packs around the Old Faithful. And there was this other geyser. There's all these other geysers that no one talks about. And one was called the Beehive. And they're kind of irregular, so Old Faithful is so named because it's like they have a schedule, like they know almost exactly within a minute or so when it's going to go off. And the other ones are often pretty sporadic. Like this one sometimes erupts once every 5 days or so. And it was just, one of these sort of surreal moments where they both kind of went off at the same time. Like we were just waiting to see Old Faithful, and then this other one was like erupt right beside us at the same time. You didn't see the video, but we actually had like both like panning around, seeing both of them going off at the same time. And probably statistically
It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, pretty uncommon. So I mean that's basically what I wrote about. It's kind of like I don't know, maybe my take on the Robert Frost poem, the Road Less Traveled idea. Sometimes you get a better experience by not following the crowds.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to read it again for us?
Oh, sure. Yeah. All right. So distant crowds gather, distracted by Old Faithful from greater glory.
Okay, we have another one from Zach. The next one is called Surf and Turf at Crystal Gold Mine and RV Park, Kellogg, Idaho. At the feast table we dine, unworthy guests, in the rough side of heaven. Sorry, I separated the lines poorly there.
That's okay.
He's looking at me.
Yeah, so that one was interesting too. I mean, they're all interesting, but we were in this trailer park in northern Idaho, and it was just sort of this random encounter with the guy who ran it, called Dennis, and they invited us over for a meal at their place, and it was just like, I guess, surprise, like based on their sort of like living status and everything, it must have cost them like 2 weeks, of his wages to pay for it.
A feast, yeah.
Yeah, and it's sort of just juxtaposed. Like, I mean, it was right in the lead up to the election. Like this would have been maybe like August. It was just sort of a contrast to me. Like I kind of see how the Canadian media was covering the U.S. and sort of negative stereotypes, and kind of seeing a certain side as being sort of monolithic. And we were actually meeting these people. Like a lot of the states we went through were pretty red states, and it just sort of struck me. Am I supposed to read it again?
Yeah, read it again.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. At the feast table we dine, unworthy guests in the rough side of heaven. Oh, so now I got to read yours.
Yep.
So your poem is called Peregrinato. So it's moonlight by twilight, mountain silhouettes revealing, we guests of this world.
So I was thinking a lot about what it means to go on pilgrimage or to journey. And I was struck by this quote I found in a book on Celtic prayer. And the author quotes Dag Hammarskjöld, who is a Swedish politician and philosopher from the early 1900s. And he said, the longest journey is the journey inward. So this night that I wrote this poem about, we were driving towards the mountains into the sunset. And it was into the sunset, and then it became, we had to go even further than we wanted to go on this particular night because we had to get our trailer repaired because our fridge wasn't working. So I was a little bit anxious about driving in the dark into the mountains where there were lots of deer. But it was the most spectacular evening. The moon actually rose in front of us, and it was kind of lighting our way, so kind of made me feel a little bit more relaxed that we would be able to see the deer more easily just thanks to the moonlight and the headlights of our car. And we did arrive safely. But I was just thinking more about pilgrimage. There's another quote from Phil Cousineau in his book, The Art of Pilgrimage. But what do we do if we feel a need for something more out of our journeys than the perennial challenges of pleasures and travel? What happens if our search for the new is no longer enough? What if our heart aches for a kind of journey that defies explanation? Where do we find this kind of journey? It is in the journey inward, and we don't have to go far to go on it. So that's or that last sentence was my own kind of summation of we go to all these places, but really they take us on a journey inward. And in Hosea 2, verse 14, I really love that verse as well. It says, I will lead you into solitude, and there I shall speak to your heart. So I guess, now I should read the poem again. Peregrinado. Moonlight by twilight, mountain silhouettes revealing, we guests of this world. So now we're going to call the kids up, and Al, and he's going to interview us.
Thanks so much for, asking me to be the person to ask you some questions. And thank you for the copy.
Yeah.
They gave all the staff their own copy. And I got to confess, I am a fairly simple man. I think everyone knows that. But I love, and I truly love living vicarious through other people. So when I see photos, when I read stories, I'm I feel it. And I wasn't even there. So thank you so much. You did a great job. Remind everybody, what was the time frame of your trip?
I was August to November of last year.
And in your book, you gave the Airstream a name. And it was interesting. You talk about, you had it for 6 years and you hadn't given it a name, which I'm how many things do you name in your household? What's the significance of the name and also with the book?
So the name comes from St. Patrick's Prayer, which is also known as the Lorica, which means breastplate or armor protection. We were thinking a long time about what we would name our trailer, and it was unnamed for 7 years. But then on this particular trip, we talk about it in the introduction of the book. A lot of things were kind of against us actually going out on our trip, and it felt like we weren't ever going to go, and I felt like we needed a prayer or something to kind of guide us into our time. And I was reading a book on Celtic prayer at the time, and so St. Patrick's Prayer seemed perfect for us to kind of bring into our daily routine and recite it and learn it and memorize it.
Yeah.
So then the trailer is a shiny silver Airstream, so it just seemed very fitting that it be called the Lorica.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so you met a ton of interesting people, I'm sure. Who stands out in your minds? Each of you, if there was one person that you're oh my goodness, that guy or that lady, that person.
Me go first.
Okay. Or Lewin, do you have one person?
No, I'm thinking of it.
You're thinking. Okay. So for me, there's one woman, I wrote a poem about her. Her name is Wendy, and we met her in Arizona, on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. We were staying at a park, which is probably gone now because the whole north rim had a massive fire of the Grand Canyon. But anyway, this lady was just on the road by herself. Her kids were older, and she was just traveling by herself. But she ended up lending us a hammock, or was it a hammock bed, Junia? What was it?
Yeah, it was a hammock bed.
A hammock bed so the kids could sleep in the tent, because they slept in the tent whenever it was nice enough. She just had this beautiful table that she set with a lace tablecloth, and but she didn't even use it, but it was just a beautiful setup that she had, and she was very kind and friendly to us. And I just kind of, my soul called out for her because I just felt like she was lonely. We meet a lot of different people on the road, and Wendy was one of them.
All right, it's my turn. So there was a guy, I guess I'll set up the story. So we were in San Diego.
PK?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about
you're going
him.
to ask about it. Okay, I'm usurping you.
Well, I was that guy stood out in the book to me. I was I'm going to ask him about PK. Tell the story. It's a good one.
Yeah, so I took Junio for breakfast, and we went back out to the car, and my car looked different. I'm why does it look different? And it's oh yeah, my mirror's smashed. It's all over the road, and the people who hit it stayed behind, thankfully. And anyways, they were driving a U-Haul, and she was moving her son to her dorm or something at university, and then took my mirror off. and we couldn't leave the city or drive without a mirror, like with a trailer. So I was thinking, like, what am I going to do? So I Googled it, and there was a place. It was Sunday too, so nothing was open. And there was a place called 7 Day Automotive. I'm like, well, that sounds like it'll be open on Sunday. so I went there. I met the guy who owned it, and his name was PK. And he's, anyways, we ended up just talking first. Like, it took 5 days, and we were back and forth with the parts, and it was like this sort of strange experience where, like, it would have taken 3 weeks, but he found a part in LA, so he, like, gave me the keys to his own car that I drove myself to LA, like 2 hours to go get this mirror and to come back. And
Through horrible traffic.
yeah, through traffic and everything. But I just got to know this random guy, but he's basically like, I mean, he's like the American dream. Like, if you were to think about the American dream, it was this guy. I think he would have been maybe 50 at the time, but he moved to the U.S. when he was in his 20s with, like, I think he said he had like $500 or something in his pocket.
From Sri Lanka,
From Sri Lanka, yeah, I should say that. He's an immigrant from Sri Lanka. And he started, I think he was delivering pizzas or something. And then, he was really good at that. And then he was managing like 6 pizza stores, and then he owned a pizza store. And then he ended up buying this land. And then by this time, I mean, this was 30 years later, he's got this humongous auto shop that he runs. And I think he told me just the land was worth $5 million. And, his business is probably worth like close to $10 million, like his net worth. It's crazy. So he just came with nothing, and he's like the guy, that you think of when you think about like the American dream. So he was just an interesting guy. I mean, he was like a Buddhist, and was just talking to me about, we were just sharing views about religion and our faith and stuff. And yeah.
And you were sitting there in a shop for quite a while.
Yeah, and he basically said, like,
he went on his run to get there.
Right. Yeah. And so we have. He said we can stay for free at his family's hotel if we ever go back to Sri Lanka.
Ever go back?
Or go back.
If we ever go there.
Go to Sri Lanka, which we might never do. But yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
How about you kids? Any person stand out? Owen?
There was this one kid in, I think, Tennessee, and they lived in a RV, and his name was Waylon, and I had just met him at the, what's it called?
Gateway.
No, the place that...
Oh, the rabbit room.
The rabbit room place, which was in Nashville, and then, yeah, I don't know, I just
You
played...
became good friends.
Yeah, and then we became friends for one day, and then we said we'd be pen pals, and then we never wrote each other back. So, I kind of...
I did text his
I'm probably never going to see him until... Probably never see him again, though.
Anybody for you?
All right, next question. How about that? We'll move on. All right, so, C.S. Lewis writes Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. If you had a wardrobe that could transport you to another world, I was going to mention about that week 3 poem, we, the guests of this world. If you could go to another world, back to wherever, where would that be?
Like on a trip?
Yeah, where would you go back?
Like instantly, you have the wardrobe and bam, you're there.
What's your favorite place that you go back to?
Zion.
Zion?
I liked Zion because, like, of the hike and the narrows, and it got nearer and nearer, like the further you went.
Yeah, it was a slot canyon that was carved out by a river, and we had to hike in the water. What did you like about that part?
Well,
Did you get covered in did you sink underneath?
I don't really, well,
That's okay.
I actually have another thing when I
Hold
was...
it up close to your mouth.
Another thing was when I was swimming, like at the deepest part of the river, I was kicking my mom with my shoes in the water. She's like, "Stop it!" I'm like, "I'm trying to swim up. The boots are so heavy."
Yeah, we had special neoprene socks and water boots that we rented to hike hike and a hiking pole, so we could walk through the water over all the large boulders that were under the river. It was pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
How about me?
Sure.
Yeah, get a wardrobe. Free mic. Where would you go?
Go somewhere. Magical wardrobe.
I guess Canyonlands? Maybe? Yeah. Okay.
Why?
It was nice.
Okay.
Also, I farted.
Okay.
From the mouth of babes, they say.
Yeah, I was gonna say Canyonlands too for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not something you think about with parks, but like it was surreal. It was like you're looking into Mordor. It's like I felt like I said Lord of the Rings or something. It's like not as deep as the Grand Canyon, but it just goes on forever. And then at the bottom of it, it's almost like there's 3 layers. Like we were on the top, and then there's this cliff, and then there's this humongous valley, and then there's even another like drop in between them with these crevices, and you can mountain bike on them. And that's what I want to do. That I want to go back and mountain bike it. Like you can bike right along the bottom of the middle layer of the canyon with like vertical sides going up, and then another cliff going down with river in the bottom. And it's pretty amazing.
All right, that's a good segue into my next question. You guys like to hike a lot. What's the difference between hiking mountains versus canyons? And Garfield Point comes to mind when I ask this question.
Yeah, because, well, we hiked down into the Grand Canyon, and we did hike up more mountains, but you have to do the hard work at the end when you hike into the Grand Canyon, like into the canyon. It was a lot more work, it felt. But I also have to say that the Grand Canyon wasn't our favorite place. It was actually kind of gross. Yeah, there was going down, like, because it's a lot of work to hike down into the canyon. A lot of people use mules. So the trail, and we didn't bring the best hiking shoes, I have to admit. The kids wore sandals, and I wore these shoes that have mesh that, like, all the dirt just goes right through it into my feet. And the trail was all, like, decayed mule poo the whole way. And when we got back, I had to wash all of our shoes in a bucket because it was so gross. But I don't know. I think I still prefer to hike mountains because, because you reach a peak and you get to look over at something.
Yeah.
The canyon, like, you kind of go down, you're like, okay, we aren't going to go all the way down and see the river, so let's just turn around. We didn't make it to the bottom, so it might have been more spectacular if we actually went to the bottom, because I hear if you go to the bottom of the canyon and stay overnight, the stars are even more spectacular just because of the depth and the perception. So, yeah, one day maybe you get a permit and go do the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, it's just as simple as the order too. Like our grandparents used to say, like, erste Arbeit, dann das Spiel, which is a German, which means first you do the work and then the play. But with hiking down in the canyon, it's the opposite. Like, you get this downhill, easy thing at the beginning, and then you're tired, and then you got to walk all the way back up. Whereas when you hike a mountain, it's like the last part's kind of downhill, right?
Right. Yeah. You guys also went in a lot of caves. Is there one that stood out to you?
Junior wants to go for it.
Mammoth Cave.
Mammoth Cave. What about Mammoth Cave?
Good answer.
Good answer.
I say Mammoth Cave because it was very, very big, but sometimes it was very, very boring.
Okay.
And the bathrooms worked, and the guy who was there, who was like the guy helping us, he was like, well, the trip into the cave just got worse because the bathrooms don't work, but they worked. And it was a 4-hour hike through a cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carlsbad Caverns was cooler because it had more, like, pillars in it. And there was actually, like, a little shop down in the, like, how many feet down? I don't know. Like, very deep down underground, there was a store with chips and food.
All right, let's fast forward 10 years from now. What's still on your mind about this trip? What stands out? Or that you hope will still stand out in 10 years' time?
Just how much time we spent together as a family. Yeah, it was just pretty amazing to have that much time together. I thought we might get sick of each other, but I think it just set the tone for our time together since then, like just how we spend time and how much we value our time together. And we just saw it in concentration on that trip, and even grocery shopping. We were doing it every 5 days because we couldn't fit too much in our trailer, and we didn't even get sick of doing that together. So, yeah, that's what I'll remember.
I like to go in the Lego Wild. But nobody heard that.
You talk about with the delicate arch, how probably in 10 years that might not be there. Like when your kids go back, hopefully. Yeah. And so like how does that make you feel, like what you experience is potentially once in a lifetime?
Yeah, I mean, that's just sort of true of life, I guess, isn't it? Like, you never enter the same river twice. Like, everything's always changing. But yeah, I mean, to your point, yeah, like, I mean, even the North Rim of the Grand Canyon, like, it burned down. We had like a couple things like that happen. Like, so the North Rim, it was like this old lodge. It was amazing, and like we just found out that it burned to the ground. But then we were at Devil's Monument, and the same thing sort of happened. Like we were about an hour from like these hailstorms come through, and someone, well, because we have an Airstream, and so I think the guy who repaired our trailer, we had some problems, was basically saying no one buys Airstreams in South Dakota because it's like these hailstorms just come in and they're like insane. And he said there's like golf ball, sometimes softball sized hail. Like some of them put cattle down, like they'll kill cows and stuff. Like the hail is so bad. And we were at Devil's Tower National. And they told us a storm was coming, and we're like, yeah, whatever. So then we just went on our way, and then like literally an hour after we left, this hailstorm came in and just destroyed it. Like the gift shop, all the windows were smashed. A tree fell and broke the visitor center, like it was closed.
And we didn't know it right away. It was an hour after we left, and we had gone west, and the storm was going east.
It would have totaled our trailer. Like it would have ended our trip probably.
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Well, you kind of answered my last question, but I'll ask it just the same. Did you ever get tired of living in your trailer? I haven't heard from the kids about this. Did you guys?
Oh, come on.
I miss Bill.
You missed Bill, our dog. Yep. So that made her made her not like being in the trailer.
I did not get very bored because I got to ride my bike every 2 minutes.
Nice.
I mean, not really. I mean, like, we were in there during the good weather. Like, I think if it was the winter and we were in the trailer all the time, it would have been pretty rough. Like, we were outside all the time.
Yeah.
But no, not really. And then, it was funny. We got home. I didn't even think about it. I just purged the house. Like, we were used to living in like however many square feet a trailer is with like not a lot of extra stuff. And then I got home, I'm like, what is all this junk? Like, we don't need it. And I spent like 2 days just purging the basement, all this stuff. Like why do we have like
Yeah, and then I started too.
500 mason jars in the basement? Like, what do we need this
You threw
for?
out my mason jars.
Yeah.
Also, he gave me like a ton of tanks, mini tanks and soldiers and stuff.
Yeah, all his extra board gaming stuff went into Lewin's room, so not all of it got completely purged.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to write these accounts and the haikus. I assume that everyone will pick one up. I highly recommend it. Thank you so much for allowing me to ask you some questions. And is there anything else you guys want to say about your trip? On stage.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, like do it if you can.
Do it if you can. Yeah, and enjoy your time with your kids because, yeah, it's pretty special. And you can do that here, too. Yeah, you don't have to go all the way to the U.S., but just the concentrated time is just so valuable.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we have a couple more poems for you. I just have to. Okay. So the next one is my poem. You want to read it?
Rapid City, South Dakota Championship Cup. Making room, my room, expansive sky, ember sparks sound over the speedway.
So I wrote this poem when we were in Rapid City, which is in South Dakota, and it was more of a campground that was right in the middle of the city, and there was just like trailer on trailer on trailer, and I was like, oh man, how am I going to find space here? I was a little bit nervous about being on the trip and being in a confined space with our family for 3 months, and I was like, oh, where am I going to get space? Because I'm very much an introvert and I need space just to reflect and to be more present during the day. I need that quiet time by myself. So I always took it after everybody else went to bed, and I stayed at the fire a little bit longer. So everybody else had gone in the trailer, and I was just sitting by the fire and getting settled in, and then the speedway started. And I was like, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to find quiet? Like, this is so loud. But then I just started just to breathe more deeply and just to settle into with all that noise going on around me. And I listened to an audio prayer that I like to enjoy of the Examen. And I was just able to even focus in on the sounds of the sparks of the fire, even over the speedway. And that's when it kind of came together, just thinking about all these like beautiful, big, expansive places that we visited, and just finding that more about the inward journey, and realizing that that expansive place can be in my own heart where God resides, and just finding it even with all the noise and everything going on around me was something very special. So yeah, I'll read the poem one more time. Making room, my room, expansive sky, ember sparks sound over the speedway. And so the last poem from Zach that we'll share with you is called An Old Stranger Approaches, Firehouse Subs, Granville, West Virginia. He grips my arm hard. You take care of them, he says, lonely eyes like glass.
Yeah, so this was kind of the end of our trip, I guess. This was the last week or so. Oh, sorry. This was the last week or so of our trip. I guess when I write these sort of poems, I guess I try to just sort of, they're like vignettes, like they're just like little memories. And I sort of think like that's how memory works. Like you know, you'll be at a event, say it's a 2-hour event, and you don't remember like how many things do you see in here, and you don't remember maybe 1 or 2 things at the end of it, right? That's all that sticks out. Your mind kind of condenses it down. So that's kind of what I tried to do with these poems. And yeah, this was just sort of a random encounter, like so many we had. Some old guy who just, I think he said his wife died, and he was just wanted to talk to people, and I think he was just hanging out at the sub place. So, anyways, I just sort of wrote a poem about him. Don't really know much about his story. I didn't talk to him for very long, but yeah, he just came over to us, wanted to see our kids, and then we left, and that was it. But
So you can read it
I'll
again.
read again. All right. He grips my arm hard. You take care of them, he says, lonely eyes like glass.
So now we're going to close with a song. There are many renditions of St. Patrick's Prayer, a lot of Celtic versions. This version is by the Wren Collective. So Junia, can you come up? And I guess, they're from Ireland too, but it's a more kind of contemporary version. So we're going to sing that for you, and then Zach is going to close with a benediction that I wrote as part of our book, because I wanted some way to close the book that was kind of a prayer that, yeah, we could remember and what we took away from the trip.
to the benediction. We return with a new song as pilgrims on our way, continuing the path lit by the Word. Within our family and our extended community, we illumine Christ for each other. Christ guards our feet and reminds us of our true selves that we might bring His reflection to the world.
So thank you, everyone, so much for joining us tonight. We do have our books here at the back. And if you would like a copy, we can even sign it for you. And we also have some treats on the table, so stay a little while and grab a little snack and mingle. Thank you very much.